guys, welcome to ITS Tactical. On today's knot of the week, we're going to tie something a little different. We're going to basically paracord wrap a small hand sanitizer bottle. Some people have referred to this as kind of a, I guess, germ grenade or something, germ bomb, I can't remember. But on any hand, what you'll be able to do with this is to not only create the pattern that we'll use to wrap this, but it can be used on things as large as an Nalgene too. So essentially what you're doing is you're using the Salomon Bar knot, which is something we've been over a couple of times on ITS, so we're not going to get too in depth with the actual Salomon bar itself, but basically it's a Salomon bar that wraps around the object and another piece of paracord is weaved on the sides to anchor it in. So let's get started and we'll show you how to do it. Okay, so what you're going to need for this is obviously your hand sanitizer bottle or anything that you're going to use to make this wrap with. This happens to be a hand sanitizer bottle that I've dumped the sanitizer out of or used up and replaced with denatured alcohol that I've tinted with some blue food coloring for my alcohol stoves. So at any rate, that's what I'm going to be wrapping today. These come in many different sizes, so the length of the paracord that I'm going to go over today may not be applicable to what you're wrapping just because they come in larger sizes or really tiny sizes, so just your mileage may vary on this. So you're going to need 2 lengths of paracord, as well as I just used a pen to actually stab and loosen up some of the paracord to weave in the secondary part of this knot. But like I said, we're going to be starting with a Salomon bar. So the Salomon bar takes an inner strand piece as well as an outer strand piece. Now the inner strand piece, we're going to use this Desert Digital paracord here. This is, I believe, 8 feet, and the outer strand of this Coyote here is 9 feet. So that's kind of what we're going to be starting with. And to start this, as you may remember from the Salomon bar, you're going to find the midpoint of your inner strand, so just like this, and you want the loop that's made by that inner strand, or the bite in the paracord, to be what wraps around your bottle here. Now, when you wrap it, you want to make sure to leave a little slack on the other side here, because what you're going to be essentially doing is wrapping that Salomon bar, or tying the Salomon bar around that inner strand, and then girth hitching this to that loop on the back side. So you don't want to make it too small. You don't want to choke up on it like that. You want to leave a little slack. So we're going to start about right there with our Salomon bar. Now the first step in a Salomon bar, hopefully you guys remember. If not, I'll try to link to some of our other videos we've made a Salomon bar with. But the first step is going to be tying an overhand knot. Now this is that 9-foot piece, and I've just taken the midpoint, wrapped it around, and I'm just going to create an overhand knot to start this thing. Okay, you can double check at this point. Make sure that you still have enough room here on your loop. Now, the thing that's different about wrapping this Salomon bar compared to some of the others we've done is that you're not going to tighten the crap out of it as you go. You're going to make it a little loose, because you're actually going to be weaving the leftover strands from this back through it in a zigzag pattern on the sides of this. So, after you've made your overhand knot, and if you remember the pattern on the Salomon bar, it's going to come over, and you're going to alternate sides, so one's going to be right and left, so I'm going to kind of do this fast here. So you're going to move from right to left, wrap around the back side. See if I can do this facing you here. Right to left. There we go. Okay, let's go left to right. Around the back side. And back through that loop. Tie. Around from your left, around, and tie, Oh, I'm already screwing it up. Sorry, this isn't the easiest thing to do without facing the camera, so. Let me adjust the camera and I'll get closer on this. Okay, I think this is a much better view here. I'm sure you'll agree. Okay, you're going to start from the right side. You're going to go over, down, around the back side, take the end of that working end, and come back through that loop you created. And tighten, but not too much, remember. Now you're going to come opposite, so left side over, down, around the back, through that open loop, and repeat that process from the right, down, and over. These working ends become a little unwieldy until you get further down here. But as you can see, I'm kind of pushing it together, but I'm not over tightening it. And that's what you need to make sure of on this thing. Because those loops, each of these loops here is we're gonna actually stick that pen through, loosen them up, and a piece of paracord is gonna thread through there. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of tying this whole thing on video here, I'm gonna cut away. And what we're going to do is, I measured out the distance from my bottle here, and it's about 7 inches all the way around here. So what you're doing is you're basically creating this pattern all the way around and back up to here. So you're going to stop somewhere in here, and then you'll be girth hitching, which is just this right here. Taking these two strands, coming through that loop, just like so. Doing something like that. So that'll give you an idea of where you need to be. You can measure out the distance so you'll know when to stop your Salomon bar, and we'll be right back. Okay, we've got that finished up. We've got about a 7-inch overall length here, and you can double check it again, putting it on here and wrapping it around, and that should work out pretty nicely there as far as the length goes. The next step in this is so you've got the end in front of you that you've been wrapping with. If you come around to the back side now and tie a simple overhand knot, basically this is to kind of lock everything in, and you'll see more why we're doing this in a minute. But what you want to do is you want to leave these strands here for now. So the working ends that you've been using, normally when you're making a Salomon bar knot, if you're done with your outer wrapping, you'll typically cut these and burn the ends or fuse them. But we're going to leave those for now, and I'll explain why in a minute. So go ahead and loop that over whatever container you're weaving onto, and actually first we're going to put this in here to create the girth hitch. Put our strands in. Okay, so this thing is going to want to get squirrely on you. So really at this point what you're going to do is, it's going to be a little hard to see, but you're essentially going to make sure, and one thing I forgot to mention is on the ends of the inner strand, you want to make sure you kind of get those to a tip, because you're going to be using those to wedge in here. But what you're going to do is, as this doubles back and creates the girth hitch, you're going to weave the left hand. So there's a left hand side strand and a right hand side strand. You're going to weave this back through this loop here on the right and this loop here on the left for the left strand. So let me demonstrate that. Get our pen here. And this is so we can open up this hole here. You can use anything, but pen just happens to be something easy that most people have laying around, so that's why I'm demonstrating with this. Okay, so there's that right side. And this is why I told you not to get rid of this part yet, because that'll need to be tightened back up. And we're going to wedge in here for the left side. Now that is going to be our starting point now. And you can retighten this back up. But I'd recommend waiting to cut it still. But you can kind of move those strands out of the way so they're not interfering with what you're doing. But now if you look on the side of this thing, these loops here that stick out this way are what you're going to be weaving into. So we're going to go with these outer loops on this side and the outer loops on this side. So you're going to take your paracord and just kind of do this thing. You're going to snake back and forth on the sides. So we're going to open up this right here. And I'll do a couple of these and then I'll cut away and finish this up, because this can kind of be a pain to sit here and watch. Now remember, I'm going to do one side at a time, so what you may want to do is, as you're doing this, just make sure that this stays centered in your object. I noticed the last time I did this, it was easier if I kind of tried to eyeball it and make sure that stayed in the center. That way I wasn't overwrapping this thing. Alright, so I'm going to come here, open that up. So you can see what you're doing is just creating this outer wrapping here that helps hold this thing together. And see, that was the point of leaving the Salomon bar loose. So I didn't even have to really, oops. Okay. So what you may want to do too, we really need to cut this thing and get it out of the way in the back here. But what you may want to do is, I didn't try this on the last one, but I may go ahead and make a few wraps on the right side, because what you want to do is you don't want to wrap too much to where you can't get the bottle back out, because once you can't get the bottle back out, there's really no way to cut this as well back here and to burn off and fuse those ends. So what I'm going to do is, I'll probably do a couple wraps on this side, turn it around, burn those, or cut and fuse those. I'm not going to show that on video, but just remember you need to do that at some point. So we'll be right back when I get a little more weaved. We're back now. I've got the side wrap all routed through here. Show you in detail here what I've done. So each one of those wraps has that side wrap and it crisscrosses back and forth. And the last step on this is to go back here and actually kind of tighten up everything, which I've kind of already done, but you're just going to kind of retrace these, pull the slack all the way down to the end here, and you're just going to trim off at this point on both sides and fuse it. So I didn't get my lighter over here, and my scissors, but let me do that real quick and be right back. Okay, so we'll just trim this off here pretty close to the end and fuse it. And one of the best ways to fuse this is just to use the end of the lighter and press it down. There we go. That's fused on that side. Cut this one. And fuse the other side. So as I was saying, you can pretty much do this wrapping with next to anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a germ grenade or bomb or whatever you call it. But so essentially, that is that. There's one last step, and that's just to take a keychain. If you want, you can thread it through here, or you could take a small carabiner and put it through the very top. Or you could even tie a lanyard, so you could get something going here. You could have a lanyard to tie that onto. You could get a cord lock, have that there, and cord lock this onto something. Tie a lanyard knot in the end, maybe. The possibilities are really endless at this point of what you can do with it, whether it's something this small or even a larger object. So there you have it. Knot of the week this week, the germ grenade or paracord wrapping on a hand sanitizer bottle, or in this case, denatured alcohol. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and make sure you leave any questions if you got them. And check out itstactical.com for the full article and write-up, where we'll have some photos as well. Thanks for watching.